All right, well, first of all, my name is Rachel, and I want to thank you guys so much for coming and adapting to the weather. The first thing I want to tell you guys is about where we're at. Is a place called Timber Bay Camp. Have any of you guys heard of it before? A couple of you guys? I have this in a couple brochures. I'm just going to kind of put on the back table for you guys to look at. I've been here at this camp since I've been 19 years old. I'm 35 now. And the neat thing about our camp is that it actually works with local youth in Minnesota. Just like kind of, need somebody else to be their friend. So a lot of the stuff, when you guys kind of went on your own little path, you'll see like cabins and there's paths and everything. There are actually high school kids that come up here that pay to be here on the weekend, and they work hard. This barn was actually constructed way back in the 80s, I think, from a group of high school kids that actually got together. So, and I just told them I would talk about camp, so we're going to do that. So, a couple things I'm going to let you guys know throughout my whole kind of presentation, and you guys are going to learn a lot about me. Probably more than you want. But that's just how it's going to be. The one thing that I want you guys to know, since I've been here, since I've been 19 years old, a lot of things have happened in my life that have changed me. One of the things I find out that in my life, and maybe you guys do too, because when I was little, I think about 11 years old, and I would come home every day from school, and I would cry. Every day. And my mom and dad, they loved me with all their heart, and they did everything possible to try to make me feel loved. I know that they loved me. And but I'd go to school, and I'd have these people that would pick on me. Any of that ever happened to you guys? Ever? Yeah. And it's not really fun. So I'd come home, and I seriously would cry. I would tell my mom and dad that I was a complete failure. I'd be like, I don't even know why I'm here. I just don't, and I would say all this stuff. And the one person that kind of helped me out was my horse that I got. But in my life when I was younger, and now that I'm an adult, these kind of things still happen to me, is that our life is kind of always straight. And it kind of flexible, kind of like this. This is called the lead rope. But sometimes when I was younger, like I said, this is what I felt that happened to me. Maybe you guys kind of feel this way. Is that all of a sudden one thing happens and then you got another. And then your life goes along, it's pretty happy again. And then I go back to school, and then someone called me a bad name. And I got a naughty name. And then it just kind of kept happening to me over and over. Until pretty soon, my life was just one giant tangled knot. Anybody ever feel like that? You do? Yeah. And so the one thing that the lead rope does for a horse, do any of you guys have horses? One thing that a lead rope does to a horse is actually something that leads them, something that ties them. Horses are flight animals, so they're really flighty. So if you walk up to them and go like this, and once the horse comes in the barn, I'll ask you guys just kind of be quiet, keep your hands to your side. But what the lead rope does to the horse is that when you lead them, they feel really secure because they're a herd animal, and that means that they love their family, just like you guys love your family, right? But when they're tied up, sometimes they panic and they get scared, and if they back up on this, just like I did with my life and my knots, it's tighter and tighter, and the horse panics just like I did. And I panicked, and I didn't know where to turn to. But with a horse, there is a knot called a quick release knot, and I'm going to show you. And I will tell you how I have tied the knots in my life when we get there. This is an extremely long one. Okay. These are all my props right here. All right, so if my horse was tied up here, I need a horse. Maybe. Me and my horse, maybe. You just have to hold this for a second. Actually, you're the wall. And put your arm on. All right. So in order to make this rope, I'm going to hold this part here. Okay. So in order to make this rope, to keep the horse, you have to make a loop, and then you go in. Let's see if I can do this without wood now. Teardrop. You are the wall. You would kind of do a knot like this. And so if a horse would pull back, they're still tied. But if they panic, like I did in my life, I really wanted this. I wanted a quick release in my life, where if I panicked, I had something strong to stand on. Thanks, Walt. And what started happening to me is that eventually the more panicky I got, the more nuts I got, I started doing something that a lot of us do, and I still do it now that I'm 35. Anybody know what this is?
A blinder.
A blinder. Do you know how these are used? Or think of like cartoons or TV shows that you might see this on.
It saves their eyes so that it gets confusing.
Right. Yep. This is a driving blinder, a bridle. So if I was the horse, which I can pretend to be a horse, it's kind of fun. This goes in the horse's mouth, and these actually guide their eyes. Horses see in a vision called monocular. And if you guys all take your hands and make a triangle like this, and then put your fingertips all the way in, and then you're going to take it over your nose and go like this. And if you guys are sitting right in front of me and you're right, you probably can't see me, but you can see out to the left and out to the right. Right? And if you shut your right eye, your left eye will never see what your right eye sees. That's how a horse sees. We see in a vision called binocular. So whatever our right eye sees, our left eye will see. So what the driving blinders do is that when a horse is pulling a cart, or back in the day they're working out in a field, this actually helps a horse not to be distracted, so they can keep going. What I did when I was little is I had my own blinders on. If my mom and dad wanted me to clean my room, I said, no, I'm not going to do it. And they'd ask me to do something else, and I'd be like, no, I'm not going to do it. And they would say, why? And I'd say, because I don't want to. And so what I started doing is I started wearing a blinder because I wanted everything my way and never ever wanted to see it how everybody else wanted me to see it, especially the people that really love me. But when horses wear this, this actually helps them focus more so they can see straight, because when they see, they can't see in front of them, they can't see directly behind them. So when I bring the horse in, I have to make sure that I'm always talking to her and touching her, so she knows where I'm at. And if you guys do have any questions at any time, you can stop me and ask me. So, that is that part. The next part, what happened to me is that my mom and dad ended up moving when I was in about 7th grade. And then the people that really hurt my feelings, I didn't want to leave them. I don't know why, but they called me names, picked on me, but I didn't want to leave them. And I moved to Piers, if you guys know where that's at, in 8th grade. And then the one thing that happened to me is I came to a family where we went to church every Sunday. If we missed church, we said the rosary, we did all this stuff. My mom and dad always talked about who God was, who Jesus was, but that was it. We had a Bible, I saw it on the table, and that's all it sat there until 8th grade. In 8th grade, I went to Piers, went to youth group, started meeting some really cool people who started telling me about who God was. And can you bring my friend in, Barn?
Ready for the friends.
And so,
Oh.
this isn't who I was knowing. My husband is my friend, but I don't think he'll like what I'm going to do.
We're about the same size. So I guess.
All right. So the one thing in 7th grade that I felt is I didn't feel like I had any value at all. I knew that my mom and dad valued me because they fed me, put a roof over my head, they bought me clothes, but I still didn't feel any value. Do any of you guys ever feel like that? Sometimes? I still do. Just like this horse. This is Miss Kitty. You guys love her? Miss Kitty is very new, and I just had her maybe for a week. So this is all brand new to her. Just kind of like when I went into 8th grade, it was in a new environment, pretty scary, didn't know anybody, had to adapt. So Miss Kitty is going to have to kind of adapt with us too. But when I got to 8th grade, through my youth group, one thing that people started telling me about was this person named Jesus. And I was like, who is Jesus? I know who God is, but who's Jesus? And they started telling me, well, you know, Jesus is this person that died for you. And I said, well, I could never see him. And the one thing that I could relate to who God was, or Jesus was, is that when my family moved to Piers, someone in my family didn't come with me, and that was my dad. And this still kind of hurts a little bit. Is that my dad worked hard to get me clothes, a rug, and money that parents' night, and then my mom would be there, but my dad couldn't be. My dad would call me, and he'd be like, no, Ray, I'm really sorry, I can't come. So I still had kind of a little bit of problem with value. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
But the one thing how I came to know who Jesus was that night at youth group. My youth pastor, and now I'm a youth pastor over at Breezy Point, is that my youth pastor.
They didn't try to cheer you up a little.
Well, they're like happy tears, they're not sad tears. My youth pastor is talking about, again, Jesus and our Father. And she was telling me that, Jesus is my Father. And even though I said, well, where is he? And she's like, Rachel, he loves you. You can't see him, but he provides things for you. He's always there to talk to you. And I started thinking, well, you know what? My dad, who's not at home, is just like Jesus because he provides like everything for me. He loves me. I said I talk to him. I just don't get to see him that often. So that night at youth group, that's when I decided that I was going to give my heart to Jesus because he was my Father in heaven and gave me a biological father here on earth. So kind of like with Miss Kitty here, she come in perfect, is that what happened that night with me? Well, she you guys didn't know this was going to be like the comic show. So just like Miss Kitty, is that what happened to me that night, and I'm going to kind of show you now how to groom a horse. And just like when you guys go to the first day of school, or you get brand new clothes, would you ever put your new clothes on dirty? No. What would happen if you did? They get dirty. Would you feel kind of weird, like dirt under you? Well, with Miss Kitty, who doesn't want to stay in the barn, maybe we'll shut the door. Oh yeah. You guys are organic fertilizer.
Rachel, should we stay quiet?
You guys are okay. It's just, it's kind of like when we all have a new situation in life, we are out of our old habit, and we just get kind of panicky, and that's what she's on. She's fine. She's usually super quiet. And if we have to, we can take a little break and exchange out for different horse. So what happened to me that night is just like what happens when I groom a horse is that, we get all these tools that we can start using to be a new Christian. One of them is a Bible, kind of small, one of them is the Bible, one of them are people in our life, and the tool is just like a curry comb on a horse. And I have not groomed her, so she's been rolling around in mud and everything. Is that with a curry comb, how you use this on a horse is you go in circles. And what it does is it actually is kind of like a massage, and it releases all the dirt